Okay, so I wanted to ask, for the interpretations of this racial analysis. So I know I observed that we use mostly financial statement like what led to the increase or decrease. So outside using the financial interpretation, can we use the industry? Let's say from the from this case study or from the case we have, there are some factors that lead to the company having, let's say, losses and all that. Can we use the industry, let's say the things that led to them having net loss on the gross profit to interpret the ratios other than using the financial interpretation itself? Can we also add to that?
Yes, you can add to that. So if you notice in the exhibits, the examiner give you SWOT analysis. So SWOT analysis is another way to analyze the company from the internal or the external environment. So strength and weakness is internal. Then those opportunities and threats are external. So you can use them aside the numbers to analyze. If you have tenable and very significant points based on the external environment, the internal environment, aside the numbers, you can use them. It's okay. Any box it resonates with, please go ahead. It's fine.
Sorry, what I was saying that what if, like, you stay from the Preseen, but it will look as if I'm lifting the weight. So that's what I'm asking, because you know that there is a place or there is a part that said students should stop copying what is in the Preseen or in the pack already. So that's how do we restructure it so that it won't look as if I'm picking exactly what is in their Preseen or in the pack?
Okay, so like on the screen now, you are seeing SWOT. He has already given you SWOT, so you can't lift this SWOT and go and put it in the put it in your answer. That's like copy and pasting. So what you do is, if you are writing on the strength and weakness, I would suggest you connect it with the numbers, because he used just narratives generally on the industry. So if you're using SWOT to analyze, connect the numbers. The numbers will help reflect, because everything about what he did here is about the industry, internal and external, and the sector, the agricultural sector, or the cocoa, whatever it is. So you can't replicate that in your report. That will be a duplication or duplication of effort. So what you do is, if you're talking about strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat, use the numbers to reflect that. That's what I would advise, so that you won't repeat what is already said. I hope that's okay, Mandy.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Patrick's hand is up. Let's start with Mr. Patrick. I can see 3 people's hands up. Mr. Patrick, please go ahead.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for the lecture. Sir, I want to find out, like, speaking to the ethical issues, how do we distinguish between what to speak in each of the requirements concerning ethical issues? How do we know what ethical issue need to come in requirement 1 and also the ethical issue that need to come under requirement 2? Thank you, sir.
Okay, good question. Good question on ethical issues. So you want to stratify requirement 1 and requirement 2. All right, so the numbers, if you look at the predicted unseen, you see that some ethical issues came under the numbers. So for example, you see an ethical issue here on pressure on quality control manager, just immediate after the numbers. So you know this is for requirement 1.
Okay.
Then issues with financial statements padding. Somebody is not muted. Somebody is not muted. Can you please mute so that we don't get distracted? Don't worry, you speak. If you're not muted, please mute your mic, please. Thank you. Okay, so I was saying that there are some ethical issues like your financial statements not being audited. Is an ethical issue that comes first. And if it's audited, you ignore it. Then based on requirement 1, you see an ethical issue on pressure on quality control based on this scenario. That's ethical issue number 1. Another one is on conflict of interest here, ethical issue number 2. Then when you come to either Exhibit 8, Exhibit 9, where it has to do with the second requirement. Anything that goes below that requirement, like under this now, you see the issue of rejected export shipments. So that should inform your ethical issues for requirement 2. So after each exhibit, I know if it's coming with additional numbers for the unseen, maybe exhibit 5 and 6. Exhibit 6 will be where your requirements are. Then exhibit 7, maybe you ask you to tweak the numbers, or it comes up with additional financial statements of maybe 2024. He brought 2022, 2023. He may bring 2024 additional financial statements. So all those numbers and the narrative under exhibit 6, exhibit 7 that deals with the financials would have to do with ethical issues. You'll find ethical issues around creative accounting, pressure to report results, unaudited financial statements, some compliance issues, maybe taxes not remitted. So you see ethical issues that have to do with financial issues. Then when you come under Exhibit 8, Exhibit 9, Exhibit 10, where it has to deal with requirement 2, you still see ethical issues there. So look out for financial statement issues and look out for the financial data or proposal or project issues around production, around the NPVs, the computations, and that will help you to delineate requirement 1 ethical issues and requirement 2's ethical issues very pragmatically and structurally. I hope I was able to share some thoughts on that and you get some idea on how to stratify them.
Thank you, sir.
All right. You're welcome. Okay, Blessing sounds are up again. So, Blessing, please go ahead.
Okay, sir, it's just to add to the question that I can't remember the first person that asked on using the SWOT analysis. So can we pick from the threat and opportunities under the opportunities and threats to put it under challenges and considerations?
No. I would like you to repeat what he did in the exhibits. That would be like copying and pasting. So you have a lot of challenges even from the numbers. So use them as challenges from the numbers. Don't use his numbers to replicate what you think, because his narrative are generic. If you look at the SWOT based on the scenario, they are generic and they are industry-wise. So use challenges and considerations that you came up with by yourself from your own analysis. It would provide more credence and give you that authenticity to get your marks. I would suggest that. Don't use his SWOT analysis. SWOT. This is much more generic. It's not specific. When you do your own specific issues, you bring them under challenges and consideration. They are more specific. And don't make it look as if you are lazy. You just copied what he did and pasted it in challenges and consideration.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Mr. Shegun's hands are up. Shegun, please go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for your support thus far. Sorry, sir, in exam condition, I'm just looking at these ratios. We have that of liquidity, efficiency, gearing, and others. So can we just pick like two from each of these groupings? Considering
under
time
exam, yeah, I get you. So most of the time, he always asks for 3, maybe profitability, liquidity, and efficiency. And maybe profitability, liquidity, and gearing. So he will ask you for 3. So on that 3, you just do maybe 3, 3, 3, 9 ratios. They should suffice for your explanation.
Okay. 3, 3, 3 is fine. Okay.
Yes. 3, 3, 3 is fine. 3 profitability, 3 liquidity. Yes, under each category. Exactly.
All right. Thank you so much.
That should suffice. Yeah. You're welcome.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Good questions. I think our questions are fantastic. They are not frivolous questions. Okay. So let's go to requirement 2. Based on the predicted unseen. Like I said, don't cram. I'm just using that for in case. So practice your NPV very well. I'm suspecting NPV for requirement 2. Practice NPV, but I still brought IRR because IRR took a lot of people off balanced diet. So I still use IRR, but there's NPV. So please practice NPV very well because it's a proposal. and we don't know if you come up with NPV. So Exhibit 8, you will see a strategic alliance, and this strategic alliance was based on what I saw in the unseen. If you go to the unseen, you see a strategic alliance issue. That's why I came up with strategic alliance. And Eurochoco is a company, international company in Germany. And the contribution and the project numbers are a modern processing machinery wants to be installed of 850 million, a QMS system of 150 million, a working capital for 5 years as interest rate of 300 million. So Sadeco's contribution will now be an existing plant of 549, and for the market value is 480. So you can't use the carrying amount. You have to use the market value because that's the lower amount. The examiner gets people confused with that. You can't use the carrying amount of your existing plant. You have to use the market value because there are impairment indicators. So take note of it. Under exam condition, you see carrying amount, you have to use the market value. Then access to cocoa supply was not. Then the equity stake between Eurochoco and Sadeco is 40 to 60. So this is the cash flow statement or cash flow projection for year 1 is 180, year 2, 240, 300, 340, 380. Then we have governance conditions where they are advocating for 50-50 board representation. They need an independent chairman. And according to them, the board has no independent directors, no audit risk committee, MD is related to the chairman. Now, the claim that there are no independent directors is wrong. Why? Because if you go back to the board composition in the Preseen, that's why you have to read the exhibits very well. Let's go to the board composition. The board composition should, just a minute. So look at the board composition. We have 3 non-executive directors. Dorcas is a non-executive director. Zamani, non-executive. We have 3 non-executive directors. They are also independent directors. Then we have 2 executive directors, the MD and an executive director. So the board is, I think, balanced, except if they want 4:2. Normally, board compositions will have double of the executive directors so that they'll be properly represented by shareholders, I understand. So this claim here by Eurochoco, in my opinion, is wrong because there's a statement here that there are no independent directors. Independent directors are non-executive directors. So this claim is wrong. There are 3:2 directors. Yes, AA's hands are up. AA, I've not spoken for a while. Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, I'm just trying to look at looking at the board composition. You said it's balanced, and I'm thinking for the purpose of voting, it should be like a odd number, such that they can be balanced, basically, such that if one is 4, the other will be 3. But this is 6, and that's where I'm going with that position of there is no independent non-executive director. That could be the balance in it. That's what I feel.
Okay. I think I'm seeing it from your perspective now. I think you're correct. So can you shed more light on that balance so we could learn from you? Because I began to dispute, even though I came up with that predicted unseen, but when I came up with that, I was also disputing the fact that there are no. So from what you said now, from a corporate governance perspective, I think you have a point. So shed more light on the balance. Shed more light on the balance. Let's learn from you, please.
Okay, basically what from my understanding, the board of directors should be more like maybe a 5-member board, a 7-member board, such that when there are we need to vote. There is we'll surely have an unequal number. So it will not be like we have, even if we should look at what's it called, the Court of Appeals, the was the high apex court as well. They are not
Supreme
always,
Court.
yeah, they are not always even numbers. They are
Yes.
always odd numbers, so that they can balance in whatever votes they are passing.
Okay. All right. Thank you for bringing that to the fore. I think I'm learning something very new now. Okay. So the fact that there are no proper representation means that statement is correct and there are no independent directors, right?
Correct, sir.
Okay. Okay. Understood. Okay. So this is a rare feature. I've hardly seen any governance issues around case studies, but just take note of it in case. Then they said also SCPL doesn't have, they don't have audit or risk committee. Now they said the MD is also related to the chairman. Wow. So those are all ethical issues. So the person that asked for ethical issues, you can see ethical issues around the governance challenges. So let's see who is the chairman. The chairman is also a non-executive position. Very few do you see executive chairman. Mostly it's supposed to be non-executive chairman, but it was not stated here. So Olafemi Aderopo is the chairman. Then Jide Ademokun is the MD. So they are both related from the scenario. Wow. And your corporate governance states you must not have relationship between the chairman and the MD should not be in this. They should not have the same portfolio or the same person manning the chairman and the MD position. Okay, so those are corporate governance issues you need to take note of in case it shows up in the unseen. All right, so we've seen that governance conditions based on the joint venture that wants to be entered between Eurochoco Germany and Sadeco Nigeria. Now you also have a letter from National Control Quality Commission, and the letter says we have received multiple reports regarding substandard cocoa exports from your company during 2024-2025. And these shipments were 67 due to, okay, these were the 67 we adjusted. And preliminary findings found out quality control issue, possibly collusion with staff to certify substandard products, required actions. Okay, so Nadeco, National Cocoa Quality Control Commission, their doctor or their DG sent this letter. Okay, so most letters that come between Exhibit 9 and 10 or any additional compliance issues will majorly feature as ethical issues. Take note of them. They will majorly feature as ethical issues. So let's go to the numbers for our Appendix 2. So don't forget, your investment appraisal, either NPV or IRR, which one the examiner will ask, but I strongly feel he will come up with NPV. And it may be pepperish than this. He may come up with high-low method, forecasted figures where you have to compute the probability. You know how he does it. So I didn't come up with all those complexities here. So expect them. High, medium, low, then they give you a probability, give you forecasted figures. All those technical SFM and PM, you know the numbers. Try to crunch them quickly so that you can have something to write, just to validate whether the project is viable or not. So based on this strategic alliance, don't forget you are using your market value, not your carrying amount. Then we have the projected cash flows for 5 years. So you compute that based on the discounting factor that was given to us, and that's 20%. And also the minimum the board is looking at of internal rate of return is 20%. So at this discount factor, you compute your discounted factor and you get your present values. And our total present value, when you compute this, gives us a total of 806 million. Now, when you have your present cash flows minus your initial outlay, which is the contribution or the plant contributed, which is 480, you're going to have a positive 326 million. And that's because it generates this amount at this 20% and it exceeds 20% of internal rate of return. So strategically, the business or the alliance is financially viable and should be acceptable. So there are some notes here based on the governance assessment. You don't need to write that as appendix. So just read through it. The recommended directors, and we'll come up with that in also the boxes section that we'll be looking at. This is for reading, it's not for writing. You can't write this on the appendix. I just provided it for practice. Then the issue of digital platforms, so marketing expansion based on the exhibits on some blockchain, business to business, electronic commerce, is just for you to read so that you have plethora of stuffs to write in your narrative. But the most important appendix is this appendix 2A, where you flex a lot of computations. You can mix it with some high, low, medium, low, cash flow, some working capital, just the way he pimps it in different diets. I'm strongly feeling he'll come up with some NPV computations that are quite technical. So it may be much more prepperish than this. So please take note of that as you are practicing. I can see some people requesting for other diets to practice on the platform. It's good. Use other diets, especially NPV, to practice, please, so that you have some base and use the numbers to be able to write your report. Okay, so let's go to requirement 2's report now. Now, coming to requirement 2, we have the same information, the 8 boxes we want to use to write. And please don't forget, once again, he may come up with models. So your models will attend to or will be used in box 2 and box 3. So first you speak to the model in box 2, then you analyze the model based on the scenario in box 3. In case he asks you to use Ansoff matrix, or he says you should use SWOT analysis as a model, or he says you should use PESTLE analysis, box 2 and 3 is where you use to blow out the issue in the exhibit. So he can come up with it, ask you to use a model in requirement 1 or requirement 2. Please stick to his instruction. Don't assume a requirement in your head and go and ignore the examiner's instruction. You're going to do very badly in the exam. So please don't do that. Make sure you stick to his instruction and adhere to whatever he asks you to do, very importantly. Okay, so let's run through the report. Your header should be the examiner's header based on the requirement. So based on our practice requirement here, we are saying an evaluation of the viability of the proposed strategic alliance with Eurochoco. Very simple. So box 1, data and information. We're looking at the proposal generally. We said it's strategic, and based on the strategy, we're looking at alliance with Eurochoco. It contributes machinery, quality systems, and working capital loan. But Sadeco contributes plant assets and supply chain access in exchange of 40% equity stake, with projected cash flow increasing from 180 to 380 over 5 years. So we're just speaking to the numbers. And we spoke generally that there's a governance issue by insiders with weak independent insight, that independent directors issue. Next is the issue of quality control. And next is the cocoa industry or sector driven by global demand, export potential. So these two may look like challenges or considerations or ethical issues. You can bring them here also as an overview, because that's what is prevalent in the scenario. So there are other general overview you could bring under this box, but then this resonated with me. That's why I brought it under this box, and they may look like ethical issues or challenges and considerations. You can replicate them in those boxes. So there is no hard and fast rule to that. Proposal viability now comes to your numbers. First, we are looking at the 480 initial investment. Then we looked at the cash flows. We're explaining the numbers and we're cross-referencing the appendix. And we're looking at the positive NPV and the viability of the project. And we're also looking at the project's weighted average cost of capital and how the IRR is aligned with the board's acceptable threshold for investment. So 4 points under project viability, then you blow it out and analyze it in box 3. And almost the same thing, but we are saying that it reflects 69 million unrealized loss due to asset impairment and value adjustment because of that requirement once adjustment we did. And also, we also said the positive NPV of this amount, we're analyzing it there, that is financially viable and expected to generate returns. We also said the determined IRR is approximately 20% and it meets the board's expectations. And also the NPV and the IRR makes the project financially viable. So these 2 boxes should blow out your computation, and please don't forget to cross-reference the appendix. Now for challenges, we are saying that the governance structure based on the independent directors issue, and AA has helped us with some insight because I was disputing that fact. But I got a clear understanding that for proper representation, there has to be more of the non-executive or independent directors on the board. And also, there shouldn't be any relationship between the chairman and the MD. We now said Eurochoco's request for equal board representation is reasonable, is a consideration. And the little issue on blockchain that can enhance quality certification since they had quality issues, and also e-commerce platforms that can direct is also a consideration. We also said the JV, the joint venture, can help ring fence Sadeco's exposure by separating the new ventures obligation. So don't write too much, 1, 2, 3 lines, because you don't have time, but trace your point and move on very fast. And that's why I provided this write-up. If you look at some of my previous reports, they are very lengthy, but please replicate this one. I had to bring it down, make them very, very succinct and clear. Don't write too much stories so you don't waste your time and you don't attend to other issues. Then next is very importantly your ethical issues. So based on the projected cash flows, don't forget, we are skeptical about it because your ethical issues is where you display professional skepticism. We are saying that Sadeco's historical results, especially the losses issue, you have to be skeptical about those figures because that's what you use. Some of those numbers, you are using them for your strategic alliance projections. We need to be sure that those numbers are properly presented and the optimism behind them may not align with the project. So your skepticism is part of the ethical issues we're talking about because the cash flows are projected, they are not actuals. So we are bringing to bear how skeptical we are with the numbers. Next is Eurochoco's below market working capital rate presents an ethical concern of under influence or dependency. And we're looking at the risk exposing Sadeco's proprietary choco processes and supply chain information to the foreign partner. Also, the unresolved quality issue and the ethical concerns that undermine integrity and trust, potentially discouraging Eurochoco's AG from proceeding with the alliance. And the conflict of interest with Mr. Garuba, it's another ethical issue we're bringing to the fore. So 4 ethical issues should suffice strategically based on requirement 2. And the 6th box is on risk assessment. We are looking at 4 points also here, and we said the joint venture reduces capability and compliance risks by providing access to advanced technology and certification, and it could not independently afford while introducing integration and dependency risk on the partner. So our evaluation is looking at the joint venture and the risk that attends to it. We also saw liquidity risk, governance risk on best practice of corporate governance, and the 40% stake and participation that they'll be sharing downside and upside risks. You should evaluate them based on your findings and bring that to the fore. So in conclusion, we said the strategic alliance is financially viable, and the IRR is about this, and the board's 20% rate is above the IRR. So the project is viable, and we said the current governance structure is inadequate based on the non-executive director issue. We also said the digital traceability platform on blockchain can enhance product transparency. And we're also saying that the strategic alliance should proceed subject to strengthened governance structures. So based on these 4 conclusions, our recommendation is that we are appealing to the board of Sadeco to approve the alliance within the next 30 days. We are specific. as its projections will meet the 20% IRR threshold and strengthen the export capacity and long-term profitability. So our recommendation should be smart. And we're also recommending that at least 2 independent non-executive directors within 3 months before finalizing the joint venture. Another smart recommendation. We're also recommending that they invest 50 million in the blockchain. If you look at Exhibit 4, you see something on blockchain. So we're recommending they should approve that in the next 12 months and also resolve the issue of the conflict of interest before 31st of December this year and provide a zero tolerance compliance framework for issues of conflict of interest. So don't forget to sign out your report. Sign it either at the audit firm, but I prefer to sign as the person in the case for the audit firm. So the signature is good. It shows you closed out the report very, very well. So I haven't done that. If you have time, because at this point of requirement too, you start hearing 30 minutes more, 20 minutes more, you're rushing to write. But if you are fast enough, don't forget to come to your executive summary and pen out requirement 2. So requirement 2 is just an evaluation of the viability of the proposal. So you speak to 2 findings, positive and negative. You have your conclusions, 4 of them, your recommendations also 4 of them. Very short what we just spoke to in the narrative. So your executive summary should not be more than 2 pages, page 1 and 2. Only 2 pages, please. Yes, Mr. Ademola's hand is up. Please go ahead. Yeah, Ademola, please go ahead and speak. You can unmute.
Thank you, sir, for the lecture, sir.
You're welcome.
And thank you for taking your time to lead us through this time work. Please talking to key responsibility. Speaking with the key responsibility.
Sorry, I didn't catch your thoughts. I think you were breaking somehow. Can you come again?
We have not talked about the planning advice as so are we to skip?
Really struggling to catch your thoughts. I think you're breaking.
It's like the network from my side. Are we together,
yes.
Sir?
Yes, your network is breaking. Yeah, the network from your side. Yeah.
Exactly.
Can you come again, please?
I want to talk. I was talking about from the key responsibility of from the requirements, our own responsibility, as in to write the reports. Now, from the requirements, where we have strategic tax plan advice, I was trying about it in the analysis making. Are we still required to do that, or it's not necessary, but it's part of the key responsibility? Thank you, sir.
Okay, good question. So you see, those key responsibilities are areas that the question could come, the requirement could come. So where tax planning comes as a requirement, please attend to it as tax planning. Though I've not seen any requirement so far from his past, his trajectory of past papers, he has not asked for tax planning. But if he asks you for tax planning based on the responsibility of you in the scenario, explicitly in either requirement 1 and requirement 2, then you treat the issues of taxes in the scenario as a key area. So you go and look at you go to the scenario, the exhibits, look at taxes and how they were charged. So most of the time, there are always allowances for losses. There are allowances for losses. I want to go to the financials. Okay. So if you look at deferred taxes, you see deferred taxes that are 89 and 87. Then if you go to profitability, you see the income statement. You see taxes that were charged at 4.4 million for 2022, despite the losses. So when it comes to tax planning as a requirement, you need to analyze the deferred taxes, and you also need to analyze these allowances, this income tax. Why are they charging income tax when the company is making losses? these are areas you need to be skeptical about, you need to speak to in this scenario. I know it will be hard to ask you as a specific requirement for tax, but if he injects anything on tax planning aside the requirements, then I'll suggest you use them as ethical issues to professionally and skeptically speak to the fact that there is a loss for this particular year and there are still taxes. Why are they taxing the company when the top company has made a lot of losses? So these are areas of your skepticism that you need to come up with in your write-up. So for tax planning requirement, yes, it's possible. So you need to deal with that in the second. Yeah, I think AA wants to shed some light on that. I'll come to you, Malanisa. Just keep your hands up. AA, you want to share some light on the tax planning issue?
Yes, sir. I
Okay.
just looking at the income tax. It's not actually a charge. It's a
Okay.
tax credit for them.
Oh, yes, it's
And
positive.
we can
Exactly.
see that 2023 there is no charge like that. It's a
Exactly.
credit. Yeah.
It's a credit. It's a tax credit. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Thank you so much. So it's a tax credit. It's positive. You can see it's not in parentheses. So thank you, AA, for that clarification. It's very clear. So it's a credit they gave the company. All right. That's a good one. Okay. Malayisa, please go ahead. Sorry. Are you okay, Mr. Ademola? Are you okay with that brief explanation I gave you? Or you still want more clarification? Is Mr. Ademola on the call? Yeah, Mr. Ademola, are you okay with that assertion or that clarification I gave you for? Yeah, please go ahead.
The network. I'm okay, but I can hear you clearly.
Okay. Sorry about the network issue. All right, Omala Isa, Bismillah, please go ahead. Your hands are up. You are muted, but we are not hearing you. Yeah, good evening. It's just that you are far from the mic, so we are hearing you very faintly. Can you put your handle close to your voice?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me now, sir?
Yes, very clear. Very clear. Please go ahead.
What is that?
Yeah, good
Yes,
evening.
thank
Nice
you
to
very
have
much,
you.
sir.
You're
My
welcome.
question, sir, is on requirement 2.
Okay.
What of unfortunately we were not able to finish your requirement 2? Are we still going to sign out or we should leave it like that? That's
No,
my
leave it
question, sir.
No, leave it like that. Leave it like that. If you are in maybe the second box, the third box, they ask you to submit. So what the examiner wants, it's attempt requirement 2. Don't by any means not attempt requirement 2. Avoid that. Avoid it. Anything that will make you overflog requirement 1 and not attempt requirement 2, at least to some extent, avoid it. So you cannot sign out what you've not finished. Yes. So just start it. And if they say submit, the examiner knows you submitted. That was the same condition I was when I wrote the paper. I didn't finish requirement 2. I did not sign out. I did not do the other boxes, but I was able to scale through the paper. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
All right. You're welcome.
Yes.
Okay. So good questions, good engagements. And yeah, I think another person's hand is up. Okay. Blessing's hand is up. Madam Blessing, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you so far
You're
for
welcome.
the explanation. It's just to ask from the last speaker. Since we didn't finish the requirement 2 in the report, how do we go about it in the executive summary?
Yeah, so since you've done maybe first or second box, you can just coin out an executive summary from what you've written so far, what you've computed. You know the project is viable, you know the NPVs are positive. You can just run through your executive summary to write 1 or 2 conclusions, 1 or 2 recommendations, and just to provide credence to the fact that I started requirement 2. And I'm also putting an executive summary there. So the examiner knows under exam condition, you can't finish it in that 4 hours. Or at least you've started the attempt. So if you pick 1 or 2 points to conclude and summarize in your executive summary, you're not out of place. So you can do that succinctly. 1, 2, 3 conclusions, recommendations before you submit. And if you cannot provide requirement 2's executive summary, at least you have requirement 1's executive summary. So that should suffice under exam condition.
All right. Thank you for the clarification.
All right. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, that's good. So in case you have time, you have the executive summary for requirement 2, then the introduction and background. This is just 4 marks. If you have time, which I doubt you have, you can do that. So based on the solution, you have that on the third and the fourth page. So we have the introduction, then we have the report outline. This is 2 marks, and you have the background. The background is in your on scene. Is even in the Preseen. I took it from the Preseen, and also the scope and limitation. So this page and this page is 2 marks. Sorry, it's 4 marks to 2 marks. So you may not have the time to do that because you are rushing requirement 2. But if you do, maybe you are very fast, you can do that. And that culminates in 100 marks. And I believe if you follow this structure pragmatically, you shouldn't score less than 60 or 70% in case study. So just follow your thoughts, make your presentation clear, have your handwriting very, very. If you don't know how to handwrite very well, you may have a challenge with case study. I have a candidate that wrote, in fact, he used to be my classmate in school, in the university. He wrote case study 5 times because of handwriting. We wrote it together and I passed May 2019, and he wrote it down to 2022. I had passed mine 2019. Well, when he asked me, I was like, come, you have passed this thing and you have qualified. You let me be writing the exam. You're not even helping me. I was like, okay, write a report. Let me even see what you're writing. And sincerely, when this guy wrote a report, I couldn't read what he was writing. And I told him, doctor, because he's a doctor. I told him, doctor, I cannot read what you're writing. He said, what do I mean? I said, all this, I can't understand this print. What did you write here? What did you write? I can't read it. I was saying, okay, maybe that's why I'm scoring 11, scoring 10, 12. That's what they keep scoring him in case study. So please, if you have handwriting issues, you may need to, like my friend, Madam Esther Akintujoye will say, you may need to get 2A. You know 2A now, those days in primary school, you get 2A and write with 2A because case study is a handwritten exam. At least they need to see what you are writing, and they are not marking your physical script. They are marking, it's on screen marking. So on screen marking, they will share the scanned copies to them. So if you don't write very well, if you're not legible, you may be writing something good and the examiner is not seeing it. So please improve your handwriting, give somebody else to look at it. What I'm writing, can you read it? Please, so that case study will not, based on that, my friend's experience, keep you. Yeah, Yetunde's hand is up. Madam Yetu, please go ahead, unmute and speak.
I just want to, I need clarification. Sustainable, in case they bring about sustainability report, are we going to add it to the state headers or we should write it separate?
No. You will not write it separate. So under any of those headers, you inject it. So if sustainability is not a requirement and it comes as a salient point, so you can just bring it under challenge or considerations or bring it under ethical issue. You can just inject sustainability in that, yes. But if it's as a requirement, then you need to talk about it elaborately. If sustainability is a main requirement, so you need to blow it out in requirement in box 2 and box 3. But if it's not a main requirement and you just say maybe you should share some thoughts on sustainability, and just share it in any of those boxes that resonates.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Any other questions before we share the report and close for the night? We are done with the whole short analysis, and I believe you are still going to practice other areas and don't depend on this one alone. And once again, still, as I've spoken to you guys, I've advised, don't cram this because this is just for practice. You can't predict ICANN. Don't cram it. So do I have any other questions? So that we'll just share the report and also I had a complaint. I think I uploaded the wrong video. Instead of November 2025, I uploaded May 25. Somebody brought my attention to that. I noticed it on the YouTube channel because I'm supposed to upload this Preseen analysis quickly on the channel also so that we can look at it before Thursday. So please pardon me. I saw that mistake. I'll rectify it. I'll take down that November 2025 video and upload the correct one very quickly. So pardon me about that. And I'll also upload this Preseen if you need to go back to it again before Thursday to refresh your mind and see other areas you missed. Yeah, Mr. Demola's hand is up again. Please go ahead, Mr. Demola.
Thank you, sir. Well done, sir.
You're
Sir,
welcome.
I want to ask on the final note that Are we to speaking with the structure of the report? Are we to start with email or title page? Because in some cases, I used to see from the most lecturer posts that one have to start with replying, probably your boss through the mail that was sent to you that you are to do this and not that for his preview or something. I want to start with the email or title page and just ignore the email reply or response or something. Thank you, sir.
Okay. I think some tutors teach that, but that's not really an issue. Most of the time, I ignore the mail. But if you want to start with that email, I received your email, blah, 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 as a preamble, you can start with that. But don't forget you are addressing the board of Sadeco. So your report is going to be reviewed by your boss, but it's going to be forwarded to them. So I think you should be more concerned about addressing the board and not your boss. Your boss will definitely get your report and review it, but be more concerned about attending to the requirements and speaking to the board of directors of Sadeco. So your boss should not be the output. He should not receive your report. And that's why some students confuse. All right, you're welcome. That's why some students confuse internal and extra reporting. They feel you are reporting to the boss. No, the ultimate destination of the report is Sadeco. So address Sadeco very importantly. All right, I think I saw Alamin's hands up. Mala Alamin, you want to speak? Your hand flashed and it went off. Were you trying to say something? Okay, I guess not. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this is where we stop. And on the final note, I wish you the very best. You're welcome. So I wish you the very best. I believe you're going to have a good ride and a smooth ride for case study. Okay, I think Isaac's hands are up. Mr. Isaac, please go ahead.
Sorry, sir. I want just to know how we can be able to structure our papers so that we can be able to maximize, and that's like in the writing. So first thing, okay, for the appendix, from the appendix, okay, that's where we are to start from.
Exactly.
Okay, then giving to requirements, all those requirements, one requirement, two. So like, how many papers are we to leave for that particular one?
So that depends on your write-up. That depends on how much you write, and you can only determine that in your practice session. So if you're starting appendix 1 on page 20 or page 15, you know that you write that much. So that's what determines it in your practice session. So you use your page numbers to see how much you write. So when I was writing the paper, I was stratifying my papers based on how much I practice. I know this is my print, this is my font size, and this is how I write. So you know you're going to start from appendix 1. And that should be maybe page 15, page 16. So that page 15, 16 would be determined by how much you write. If somebody has bigger prints, maybe you want to start from page 20. If you have lesser print, you start from page 15. So it depends on how much you write. You know your first page, you leave it. You leave your second and third page. Fourth, fifth page, you leave it. Then maybe from 6 to 7 pages where your discussion aspect, you leave that one too. And maybe you leave page 10 for requirement 2. And maybe start from page 15. You now start your appendices there. Any page you didn't use, just cross it clean, in a very clean and neat manner. Just cross it with 2 lines. The examiner knows you didn't use that page. So if you leave any page, don't worry. Just cross it. Don't leave it blank. Any page you didn't utilize because of the estimation, just cross it in the exam. That's all. No issues.
No problem, sir. Thank you.
All right. Okay, you're welcome. All right, any other questions? Okay, Mr. Akpan's hands are off. Yeah, Mr. Akpan, please go ahead.
Okay, sir. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you much. I want to ask, in this, this long-term loan, I have seen deferred tax as part of the liability. Is it really part of it? Because they said the deferred tax is not part of the liability. Is it that we need to add it when we are calculating the capital employed? That's where I want to.
Okay, so deferred tax is actually a non-current liability. So it's not a current liability. You see it as a long-term liability. So you don't need to add it. Normally in your return on capital employed is total liabilities less current liabilities. There's no long-term liabilities. So less total liabilities. What's the formula again? Somebody correct me. Am I getting the formula right? Sorry, total asset less current liabilities. Am I correct? Where are the case study students now? Nobody's answering me
Yes, sir.
for.
Yes,
So
sir.
it's good. So
Yes,
total
sir.
liability. So total assets less current liabilities. So since deferred tax is under current liabilities, it's not under long term, you have to deduct current liabilities from your total assets. So your total asset is 656 less your current liability. So deferred tax is not even under current liabilities, it's under non-current. So your deferred tax has nothing to do with your return on capital employed. Mr. Akpan, is that the point you're trying to bring out for us?
Yes, sir. That's where I wanted to be sure because of the liabilities, current liabilities.
Yes. So total asset less current liabilities is the correct and actual variant. There are other variants, but that one is much more tenable. So it's good to use current liabilities, not total liabilities. So that's correct. Okay, Madam Blessing, your hands are up. Then Madam Ene, let's go. You guys don't want us to close. This is 11. All right, Madam Blessing,
sir.
go ahead.
All right, thank you for the opportunity again. My question is around this pitch numbering. Some tutors will advise that you pitch number your booklet again, apart from the pitch numbering on the booklet. So what is your take on it?
I agree with that. So you have two numbering, so the examiner knows how to navigate through. So in case maybe that of ICANN is wiped off because that one is below, you can number your own on top. So maybe it's wiped off because of frequent opening and all that. So it's good to number it. I agree with them. Yeah, you can number it on top of the page. Yes, that's okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, NS hands are up. Madam Ene, please go ahead.
I wanted to ask concerning this return on capital employed, because there are places you see that they'll say is equity plus long-term debt to get your capital employed.
Equity plus long-term debt. Okay, let's do something and see. So our equity here is 50 million, right? Plus, where's long-term debt? Non-current liability. So 50 plus 111 is 161. So let's do total assets. 656 minus, where's your current liability? Minus
It's the
4.
same thing, sir.
So NA is the same thing. So equity plus long-term liability is the same thing with total assets minus non-current liability, minus current liabilities. So it's the same thing. When you do the maths, whichever route you want to go, but I prefer total asset less current liabilities. That's what has stayed with me. But any route will lead you to the market. So it's fine. All right, so any questions? Okay, so finally I was sharing some advice. I was saying that please go with confidence, trust your preparation, and also pray and pray and pray. Christians, Muslims on the call, predominantly that's the faiths that are predominant in Nigeria. Please believe in the power of prayer. Your efforts without prayers, I think, will end in futility. So please pray for assistance from divinity. And I believe you're going to ace the paper. Trust your preparation. Don't fear, don't fidget. Rest. As you are practicing, if you can't handle some things, make sure you rest. A day before the exam, please sleep. Don't overflog or overpush yourself. And when you get to the hall, maybe you start having issues of sleeping in the hall. So please rest adequately. And for those that are writing 4 papers, you're starting Monday, you're starting Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Please make sure you rest adequately and just do light revisions. You've been reading all this while, so don't stress yourself. This is just the time to go and deliver. And believe God, have God confidence and have self-confidence. They are two very important things. God confidence and self-confidence. And I believe you ace the paper. So ladies and gentlemen, this is where we'll stop. I'll make sure I upload the videos as soon as possible for those that want